Imagine for a moment that everything you've ever studied about reality, about how this world works, about space and time, about the distance between things, it was all just a superficial understanding of something much deeper, much more amazing. Imagine that right now, at this very moment, you are connected to every person you've ever loved, to every place you've ever been, to every possibility you've ever imagined. Not through some mystical, elusive way, but through the fundamental nature of reality itself. When we talk about non-locality, we're talking about something so revolutionary, so transformative for our understanding of existence, that it literally changes everything. It's not just an idea. This is not just a concept to think about. This is a quantum reality that has been proven over and over again in laboratories around the world. And it tells us something absolutely incredible, that the separation you feel, the distance you perceive between yourself and everything else is an illusion created by your limited perception. Think about it. Right now, your mind is working in a matrix of limitations. You look at the world through the lens of your senses, which perceive only a tiny fraction of what really exists. You see objects as separate things. You see yourself as a separate person, separated from other people, from nature, from the universe. But what if I told you that at the quantum level, at the most fundamental level of reality, there is no such thing as fission? Non-locality means that two particles that were once joined can affect each other instantaneously, no matter how far apart they are. It's not about transmitting a signal through space. It's not about some invisible thread connecting them. It's about something much deeper. They remain part of the same system, one unified reality, even when they seem to be separated by millions of light years. Albert Einstein called it a creepy action at a distance. And you know what? He couldn't believe it. He thought it had to be a mistake, that there had to be some other explanation, because it violated everything he thought he knew about the nature of reality. But he was wrong. Experiment after experiment proved that non-locality is real. This is not a theory. This is a fact of how the universe functions. Now listen to me carefully, because that's where it gets personal for you. If two subatomic particles can stay connected through space and time, what does that say about you? What does this say about your connection to the people you love? What does this say about your connection to the version of yourself you want to become? What does this say about your ability to influence the reality around you? You see, the problem is that we were conditioned to live in a Newtonian world. We've been trained to think that things are separated, that cause and effect only work through direct physical contact, that you're here and everything else is there. And because of that conditioning, because of these limited beliefs, we live in a tiny box of possibilities. We live as if we were isolated, as if we were alone, as if the only way to change our reality was to fight and push and manipulate the physical world around us. But what if there was another way? What if you could exploit this non-locality, this fundamental interconnectedness of everything? What if you could learn how to work with a quantum field in the same way that these entangled particles work with each other? When you meditate, when you really go beyond your body, beyond your environment, beyond time, something amazing starts to happen. You start resonating with different frequencies. You begin to align with the various possibilities that exist in the quantum field. And because you're no longer defined by your environment, no longer defined by your body, no longer defined by linear time, you become non-local. You become pure consciousness, pure energy, pure information. And in this state of pure consciousness, you are connected to everything. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally connected because of the same quantum entanglement we see in labs. Your consciousness is not localized in your brain. Your consciousness is a non-local phenomenon that interacts with a quantum field that contains every possibility that has ever existed or will exist. Now, think about the consequences of this. If you're really connected to everything at this fundamental level, then when you change your inner state, when you change your energy, when you change your vibration, you're not just changing yourself. You influence the entire field around you. You influence the people with whom you are connected. You influence the opportunities that unfold in your life. This is not the law of attraction as it is commonly taught. This is much more fundamental. It's about understanding that you're not a separate being trying to pull things in. You are a node of consciousness in a boundless network of interconnectedness. And when you change what happens in your node, you send ripples through the entire network. Let me share with you something that I have seen over and over again in our work. When people learn to enter these deep meditative states, when they learn to become nobody, nothing, nowhere at any time, something wonderful happens. They begin to emit coherent energy. Their heartbeat becomes more coherent. Their brain waves become more coherent. Their energy becomes more orderly, more organized, more powerful. And when they emit this coherent energy, they literally send a signal into the quantum field. They send information. They send intention. And since everything is connected, since everything is entangled at the quantum level, this field responds. Reality begins to organize around this new energy, this new information. Now listen to me. This is not magic. This is not a wish. This is not positive thinking. This is quantum physics. It is the understanding that consciousness and energy are intertwined, that the observer influences what is observed, that when you change your inner state, you literally change the external reality that you are experiencing. But here's the thing, most people can't do it because they're too attached to their Newtonian perception. They're too attached to the idea that they are their body. They are too attached to their environment. They are too tied to time. They wake up in the morning and the first thing they do is check their body. Do I feel pain? Do I feel tired? Do I feel anxious? And immediately they localize themselves. They define themselves as a body in space. Then they look at their surroundings. They see the same house, the same bedroom, the same problems, the same restrictions. And they localize themselves even more. Then they look at the clock and they think about their past and their supposed future, and they get trapped in linear time. And at this point, they are completely localized. They are completely cut off from the quantum field of possibilities. But when you're meditating, when you're really meditating, when you're stepping outside of those limitations, something amazing happens. You become non-local. You become pure potential. You become a wave of possibilities instead of a piece of reality. And in this state, you have access to everything. You have access to all the information, all the wisdom, all the possibilities that exist in the quantum field. Now, let me explain it differently because I want you to really understand it. In quantum physics, there is something called the uncertainty principle. This tells us that the more accurately we know the position of a particle, the less we know about its momentum, and vice versa. But what does this really mean? This means that when something is not observed, when something is not measured, it exists as a wave of possibilities. It exists everywhere and nowhere at the same time, is non-local, is pure potential. But the moment we observe it, the moment we measure it, the moment we turn our attention to it, it collapses from a wave of possibilities into a particle of reality. It becomes localized. Now apply this to your life. when you pay attention to your limitations, when you observe your problems, when you measure your shortcomings, you collapse the quantum field into more of the same. You localize yourself in a limited reality. But when you let it go, when you stop observing your limitations, when you become pure consciousness without fixation on any particular reality, you open yourself up to infinite possibilities. You become non-local. You become a wave. And in that state, you can choose which reality you want to collapse into when you return to your normal state of consciousness. That's what we do in meditation. We let go of our attachment to the known. We let go of our attachment to our present state. We let go of our attachment to our body, our environment, our time. And we become nobody, nothing, nowhere at any time. We become pure consciousness. We become non-local. And in this non-local state, we can connect with any possibility in the quantum field. We can connect with a version of ourselves that is already healthy. We can connect with a version of our life where we have already achieved our goals. We can connect with a version of reality where what we want to create happened. And here's the key. When you connect with this future possibility, when you resonate with it, when you radiate the same energy as this possibility, you become entangled with it. You become quantum connected to it. And that is why, no matter how far away this possibility may seem in space or time, it begins to move towards you, and you begin to move towards it because you're connected non-locally. Think of it as two violins in a room. If you pull a string on one violin, the same string on the other violin will vibrate, even if you haven't touched it. This is called sympathetic resonance. This is a local example of a non-local principle. When two things vibrate at the same frequency, they connect. They influence each other. Now imagine that you are one violin and the desired reality is another violin. If you can change your vibration, if you can change your energy to match the vibration of the desired reality, you create a resonance. You create a connection. You create a quantum entanglement between who you are now and who you want to become. And this is not just a metaphor. This is literally what happens at the quantum level. When your energy matches the energy of your dreams, when your vibration matches the vibration of your desired reality, you become entangled with it. You become non-locally connected to it. And at that point, distance and time become irrelevant. It's no longer about when it will happen or how it will happen. It's about the fact that it has to happen because you're already connected. But that's where most people get stuck. They try to do this from their limited, localized state of consciousness. They wake up as the same old someone in the same old body, in the same old environment, and they try to create something new. But it doesn't work because they emit the same old energy. They send the same old signal. They collapse the quantum field into more of the same. To create something truly new, to connect with a truly different opportunity, you need to become a different person. You need to change your energy. You need to change your vibration. And the only way to do that is to go beyond your present personality, beyond your present state, beyond your present reality. You have to become non-local. You have to let go of your attachment to who you think you are. You have to enter the unknown into the quantum field of pure potential. And there, in that space of infinite possibilities, you have to find a new signal, a new energy, a new vibration that corresponds to what you want to create. And when you find that energy, when you resonate with that possibility, when you emit this new signal, the quantum field responds. Reality begins to reorganize. Opportunities are starting to move. Events begin to unfold. People are starting to show up. Circumstances begin to change. Not because you push and make things happen, but because you have connected with another possibility on a non-local level. And this possibility is now collapsing into your reality. Now let me tell you about some of the research we've done, because I want you to understand that it's not just a theory. We measured people's energy fields before and after meditation. We measured their cardiac coherence. We measured their brain waves. And what we find over and over again is that when people enter these deep states of meditation, when they become non-local, their energy field becomes more coherent, more organized, more powerful. They emit a stronger signal. They send clearer information to the field. And what's even more amazing is when we have a room full of people who are all meditating together, all raising their energy together, all becoming non-local together, we're measuring what looks like a collective field of coherent energy. We measure the connection, the interconnectedness, the entanglement between all these consciousnesses. This is no coincidence. This is not a coincidence. This is a demonstration of non-locality in action. These people don't just individually change their own energy. They create a collective field that is greater than the sum of its parts. They exhibit quantum entanglement at the macroscopic level. And here's what's really exciting. When people meditate in these groups, when they become part of this coherent collective field, they often experience spontaneous healings. They experience epiphany. They experience transformations that would not be possible if they meditated on their own. Why? Because they don't just tap into their own potential. They connect to the collective potential. They connect to a shared field of consciousness where non-locality becomes so apparent, so palpable, that their belief in separation completely disintegrates. Now, think about the consequences of this for your life. If you can become non-local, if you can go beyond your limitations and connect to the quantum field, then what becomes possible? What becomes possible when you realize that you are not isolated, that you are not alone, that you are not separated from the source of all creation? Everything becomes possible. Healing becomes possible because you're no longer limited by your current physical condition. You can connect to the version of yourself that is already healthy and collapse this possibility into your reality. Wealth becomes possible because you are no longer limited by your present circumstances. You can connect to a version of your life where abundance is already your reality. Relationships become possible because you're no longer limited by your present loneliness or your current conflicts. You can connect to a version of your life where love and connection are already present. But the key, always the key, is to become non-local. You have to go beyond the person who has the problem. You have to go beyond the person who wants a solution. You have to become nobody to become anything. You have to become nothing to become everything. You have to become nowhere and at no time to be everywhere and at all times at the same time. This is the paradox of non-locality. This is the paradox of quantum reality. The less you try to be someone specific, the more opportunities become available to you. The less attached you are to a specific reality, the more realities you can experience. The less you are defined by your past, the more future you can create. Now, let me explain something to you about brainwaves, because it's important for understanding how to become non-local. When you're in your normal state of beta waves, when you're focused on the outside world, when you're analyzing and thinking and worrying and planning, your brain works very fast, very narrowly, very localized. You're focused on matter, on your body, on your environment, on your time. You're completely localized. But when you start meditating, when you start slowing down your brain waves, when you go from beta to alpha to theta to delta, something wonderful happens. Your attention shifts from a narrow focus on the outside world to a broad, open awareness of the inner world. You go from particle to wave. You go from local to non-local. And in these slower brain waves, especially in alpha and theta states, your brain becomes much more receptive to new information, to new opportunities, to new connections. You open the door to the quantum field. You open the door to non-local consciousness. That's why meditation is so powerful. It's not just about relaxation. It's not just about reducing stress. It's about changing your neurological activity so that you can access different levels of reality, different levels of consciousness, different possibilities that exist in the quantum field. When your brain is in a theta state, when you're in that deep meditative state right on the verge of sleep, you're in a world where space and time dissolve. You are in a world where anything is possible. You are in a world where non-locality is not a concept, but an experienced experience. And in this state, you can literally rewrite your neural networks. You can literally create new connections in your brain that are aligned with the new reality you want to create. Now, here's what I want you to understand. When you do it over and over again, when you practice becoming non-local, when you practice connecting to a quantum field, when you practice resonating with different possibilities, something amazing happens in your brain. You begin to build new neural pathways. You begin to create new connections. You begin to guide your brain to a new personality, a new reality, a new future. And when these new neural pathways become strong enough, when they become more automatic, more familiar, more natural than the old pathways, then transformation occurs. Then you literally become a new person, not because you're trying to be different, not because you force yourself to change, but because you rewrote the software of your brain. You have changed the neurological signature of who you are. And when you change the neurological signature of who you are, you automatically change the signal you send into the field. You automatically change the possibilities that you resonate with. You automatically change the reality you are experiencing. It's not willpower. This is not positive thinking. It is a neuroscience combined with quantum physics. It's the understanding that your brain and your consciousness and the quantum field are all parts of the same interconnected system. And when you change one part of that system, the whole system changes because everything is not locally connected. Now let me talk about the heart for a moment, because the heart plays a huge role in non-locality and connection. Most people think of the heart simply as a pump, just as a muscle that pumps blood. But the heart is much bigger than that. The heart has its own nervous system. There are about 40,000 neurons in the heart, and these neurons send more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. The heart also emits an electromagnetic field that is 5,000 times more powerful than the brain field. And this field can be measured at a distance of several feet from the body. In fact, when two people stand next to each other, their heart fields interact. They exchange information. They become confusing. This is not a metaphor. This is not a poetic exaggeration. It is a measurable scientific. In fact, your heart field affects the people around you, and their heart fields affect you. You are connected non-locally through these electromagnetic fields. Now, here's what gets really interesting. When your heart is in a coherent state, when your heart rate becomes smooth and orderly rather than chaotic and irregular, something amazing happens. Your heart field becomes much more organized. It emits a clearer signal. It sends more coherent information to the field around you. And when your heart is coherent, your brain also becomes more coherent. Your body enters a state of greater harmony. You begin to radiate the energy of love, the energy of gratitude, the energy of generosity, the energy of connection. And this energy, this coherent energy that radiates from your heart, affects everything and everyone around you. That's why emotions are so important in creating your reality. Not because positive thoughts magically create positive results, but because emotions are energy in motion. Emotions are a signal that you send to the field. And when your emotions are uplifted, when you feel love, gratitude, joy, inspiration, you radiate a coherent energy that resonates with the sublime possibilities in the quantum field. And because everything is non-locally connected, because your heart field interacts with the fields around you, because your energy affects other people's energy, you literally create a resonance with possibilities that correspond to your energy. This is not the law of attraction. This is the law of resonance. This is the law of non-local interconnectedness. You don't attract things to you. You resonate with the possibilities that already exist in the field. And because of this resonance, because of this non-local connection, these possibilities collapse into your reality. But here's the problem. Most people live under stress. Most people live in fear, in anxiety, in anger, in upset. And when you are in these low emotional states, your heart field becomes incoherent. It becomes chaotic. It sends a mixed signal to the field. And a mixed signal creates mixed results. Moreover, when you are in these stressful emotional states, your body goes into survival mode. All your resources go to defense, to the fight or flight reaction. Your immune system becomes suppressed. Your heart becomes incoherent. Your brain goes into high beta waves, where you are completely localized, completely focused on the threat, completely cut off from the quantum field of possibilities. That is why it is impossible to create a new reality out of stress. That is why it is impossible to heal out of fear. That is why it is impossible to thrive on anxiety. Not because stress or fear or anxiety are bad emotions, but because they localize you, they limit you, they cut you off from a non-local field of opportunity. To become non-local, to connect to a quantum field, to resonate with new possibilities, you have to change your energy. You have to change your emotional state. You must rise above survival and enter creation. You have to go from stress to coherence, from fear to love, from anxiety to gratitude. And when you make that transition, when you change your energy, when you raise your emotions, you literally change the signal that you send out into the field. You change the information you emit. You change the possibilities that you resonate with. Now listen to me carefully, because I want you to really understand this. When you're meditating, when you're entering that elevated emotional state, even before something has changed in your outside world, when you're feeling grateful even before you got the thing you wanted, when you're feeling love even before your partner showed up, when you're feeling generosity even before you got the money, you're doing something amazing. You send a signal to the field saying that it has already happened. You radiate energy that corresponds to the desired reality. You resonate with a future opportunity. And because the quantum field doesn't know the difference between what's happening in your inner world and what's happening in your outer world, because for the quantum field, everything is non-local. Everything is connected. Everything is happening now. Your body begins to believe that this future is already your present reality. And when your body believes that the future has already happened, it begins to emit a new signal. It begins to send new information. It begins to resonate with other possibilities. And the field answers. Reality begins to change to match your new energy. It's not about visualization. It's not about positive thinking. It's about becoming the energy of your future before it physically manifests. It's about embodying a new reality so fully, so compellingly, that your body, your brain, your heart, everything begins to believe that it's already real. And when you do that over and over again, when you practice being the energy of your future, when you practice feeling the emotions of your desired reality, something amazing happens. The quantum field begins to organize around your new energy. Opportunities begin to collapse. Synchronicities begin to occur. People show up. The door opens. Opportunities are presented. Not because you control the universe, not because you manipulate reality, but because you become resonant with the different opportunities that already exist in the field. You become non-locally connected to the future you want to create. And because of this non-local connection, because of this quantum entanglement, this future begins to collapse into your present. That's the beauty of non-locality. That's the power of understanding that you're not separate from what you want to create. You are already connected to it on a quantum level. You just need to become the energy of it. You just need to resonate with it. You just need to emit the same signal as the desired reality. And when you do that, when you become that energy, the non-local connection becomes so strong that distance dissolves, time dissolves, all obstacles dissolve. And what you want to create begins to appear in your life, not through compulsion, but through resonance, through alignment, through the non-local interconnectedness of all things. This is the future of human consciousness. That's where we're going as a species. We go beyond the Newtonian understanding of reality as individual particles colliding with each other through space. And we enter a quantum understanding of reality as an interconnected field of possibilities, where everything is connected, where everything influences everything else, where consciousness plays a fundamental role in the creation of reality. And when you understand that, when you really embody it, when you live from this place of non-local interconnectedness, everything changes. You don't feel lonely anymore. You don't feel separated anymore. You no longer feel limited by your circumstances or your past or your present state. You understand that you are an infinite consciousness that experiences itself in human form. You understand that you are connected to everything and everyone. You realize that when you change your energy, you change the whole field around you. And from this understanding, from this place of power, from this place of interconnectedness, you begin to live in a different way. You start creating differently. You start loving in a different way. You become the living embodiment of quantum possibilities. This is not just a philosophy. It's not just an idea. It is a way of living, a way of being, a way of creating, which is based on the deepest truth of reality. That everything is non-locally connected, that you are not separated from the source of all creation, that you have the power to change your reality by changing your energy. This is an invitation. This is an opportunity. It is an open door to a completely different way of being. The question is, will you have the courage to step through that door? Will you have the courage to let go of your attachment to the known and step into the unknown? Will you have the courage to become non-local, become infinite, become all that you really are? The choice is yours. The opportunity is yours. The power has always been yours. It's time to just remember that and start living from this place of non-local interconnectedness, from this place of quantum possibilities, from this place of infinite potential let's take this to an even deeper level, because I want you to really feel it in your bones, in your cells, in the very fabric of your existence. When we talk about non-locality, we're talking about the fact that your consciousness is not limited to your skull. Your consciousness is not held inside your brain like some computer in a box. Your consciousness is a field that interacts with a larger field that contains all the information, all the possibilities, everything that has ever been or will be. Think about it. When you think a thought, when you feel an emotion, when you have an intention, you're not just creating some kind of internal activity in your brain. You create ripples in the quantum field. You send waves of information into the ocean of consciousness that permeates the universe. And these waves interact with other waves, create interference patterns, resonate with similar frequencies. It's like when you throw a stone into a pond. The ripples go out, touch the shores, bounce back, interact with other ripples from other stones. Only in the quantum field, there is no time delay. There is no need for waves to travel through space. The impact is instantaneous because at the deepest level, there is no space to cross. Everything is already connected. Everything is already here. Everything is now. Einstein struggled with this because it meant that information could travel faster than the speed of light, which violated his theory of relativity. But quantum mechanics proved time and time again that he was wrong on this issue. Nonlocality is real. Entangled particles affect each other instantaneously, regardless of the distance between them. And if it's true for the particles, imagine what it means for you, for your relationships, for your connection with the people you love, with the places you've been, with the dreams you hold in your heart. You're not separated from these things by space and time. You are non-locally connected to them right now, at this very moment. When you think of someone you love, you don't just remember them. You activate the quantum connection between you. You touch the field of consciousness that connects both of you. And if you do it with enough intensity, with enough emotion, with enough coherence, often something amazing happens. This person thinks about you. This person is calling you. This person appears in your life. We call it a coincidence, but it's not a coincidence. This is non-locality in action. It is a quantum entanglement between two consciousnesses that resonate at the same frequency. Now I want you to understand something critical. It doesn't just work with people you know. It works with people you haven't met yet. This works with opportunities that have not yet manifested. This works with a future that has not yet happened. When you enter meditation and connect with the energy of the new work you want to create, you're not just fantasizing. You activate a non-local connection with that possibility in the quantum field. You become entangled with the people who will be involved, with the circumstances that have to align with the events that are going to happen. And the more you practice it, the more you maintain that energy, the more you stay in that coherence, the stronger the connection becomes. Moreover, the quantum field is organized around your energy. The sooner this possibility collapses from a wave of potential into a particle of reality. But that's where people lose it. They meditate in the morning. They feel this uplifting energy. They connect with this opportunity, and then they open their eyes and go back to their old self. They become localized again in their limited sense of self. And what's going on? The connection is broken. The entanglement disappears. They become separate from what they want to create again. And then they look at their life a week, a month, a year later and say, meditation doesn't work. The law of attraction does not work. All this is a quantum thing, just a bunch of nonsense. But the problem is not quantum physics. The problem is that they did not maintain energy. They did not keep in touch. They did not remain non-local during the day. You see, becoming non-local for 30 minutes in the morning is fine. This is the beginning. But the real transformation happens when you can hold that energy all day. When you can walk around the world as a new person, even when the external reality has not yet changed. When you can maintain the coherence of your heart, the purity of your thoughts, the sublimity of your emotions, regardless of what is happening around you. This is what we call living from the end. It means living as if your future has already happened. It means being the energy of your dreams, not only when you meditate, but also when you wash the dishes and when you go to work and when you stand in line at the supermarket. Because here's the truth. The quantum field is always listening. It always reads your signal. It always responds to the energy you radiate. And if you radiate one energy for 30 minutes in the morning and then radiate a completely different energy the rest of the day, what do you think will organize the field? What reality do you think you are collapsing? Most people spend 30 minutes creating and 23 and a half hours surviving. 30 minutes being non-local and 23 and a half hours being completely localized in their limitations. And then they wonder why their lives don't change. But when you understand non-locality, when you really get it, you realize that every moment is an opportunity. Every thought is a signal. Each emotion is a command to the quantum field. You're always the creator. The only question is, what are you creating? More of the same or something new? Now let me talk about time for a moment, because non-locality completely changes our understanding of time. In the Newtonian world, time is linear. The past is behind you. The future is ahead of you. And you're stuck in this little point we call the present, moving forward minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. But in the quantum world, time doesn't work like that. In the quantum world, all possibilities exist simultaneously. The past, present, and future are all superimposed on each other in what physicists call the block universe or the eternal now. This means that the version of you that is already healthy already exists. The version of you that is already successful already exists. A version of your life where everything you've ever wanted is already manifested, already exists. Not in some distant future, but right now, in a quantum field of possibility. The problem is that you can't access these other versions of yourself, other timelines, other realities while you're stuck in linear time. As long as you're defined by your past, as long as you are attached to your present state, as long as you worry about your future, you are localized on the same timeline, in the same possibility, in the same version of reality. But when you meditate, when you become non-local, when you transcend time, something amazing happens. You get access to the eternal now. You get access to a quantum field where all possibilities exist simultaneously. And in this space, you can choose which timeline you want to collapse, what version of yourself you want to become, what reality you want to experience. This is not time travel in a sci-fi sense. This is a quantum leap from one possibility to another. It's like reconfiguring a radio station. All stations broadcast at the same time, but you can only listen to the one you are tuned to. And when you change your vibration, when you change your energy, you literally readjust to another station, another timeline, another version of reality. I've seen it over and over again. People come to our workshops with chronic illnesses they've had for years. They're stuck on the timeline where they are sick. All their past, all their identity, all their thoughts and emotions reinforce this reality. They're localized in this sick version of the self. And then they meditate. They go beyond their bodies, beyond their time, beyond their identity as a sick person. They become non-local. They get access to the quantum field. And there, in this field of infinite possibilities, they connect with the version of themselves that is already healthy. They do not visualize health. They do not hope for health. They become health. They resonate with that possibility so fully, so convincingly, that their body begins to respond. Their immune system is activated. Their genes begin to be expressed differently. Their cells begin to behave differently. And then something happens that medical science calls spontaneous recovery, but which is actually a quantum leap from one timeline to another, from one version of reality to another. They literally switched from the timeline where they are sick to the timeline where they are healthy. This is not a miracle. This is not a coincidence. This is non-locality in action. This is the understanding that you are not stuck in one timeline, in one opportunity, in one version of yourself. You have access to infinite timelines, infinite possibilities, infinite versions of yourself. And all you have to do is become non-local long enough to connect with the one you want to experience. But it requires something from you. It requires you to let go of your attachment to your past. Because every time you tell that old story, every time you remember that old experience, every time you feel that old emotion, you tie yourself back to that timeline. You localize yourself in that old reality. To jump onto a new timeline, you need to become a new person. You need to think new thoughts. You need to feel new emotions. You need to make new choices. You need to live as if the old past no longer exists. Because at the quantum level, it doesn't exist. There is only the eternal now. And in this eternal now, you can choose to be anyone, anywhere, anytime. This is the freedom that non-locality provides. This is the power of understanding that time is not your master. You're not a victim of your past. You're not limited by your present. You're not determined by your predictable future based on your past. You are a creator who has access to all the possibilities, all the timelines, all the versions of reality that exist in the quantum field. Now let me talk about the collective consciousness, because non-locality is not limited to just you. We are all connected, all 7 billion people on this planet. All the beings who have ever lived or will live are all parts of one interconnected network of consciousness. This is what ancient traditions have always taught. This is something mystics have always known. But now quantum physics is proving it scientifically. We are not separate. We are not isolated. We are non-locally connected through a quantum field that permeates the entire universe. When you change your energy, you don't just affect your own life. You send ripples through the entire network. You influence the people around you. You influence the collective consciousness. You influence the very fabric of reality. It's a big responsibility, but it's also a huge opportunity. Because it means that every time you raise your energy, every time you live from the heart, every time you choose love over fear, gratitude instead of complaint, elation instead of depression, you're not just helping yourself. You help everyone. You raise the collective consciousness. You make it easier for other people to raise their energy as well. You become a beacon, a point of light in a network that helps light the way for others. That's why group meditation is so powerful. When you have a room full of people, everyone raises their energy together. Everyone becomes non-local together. Everyone connects to the quantum field together. Something amazing happens. Individual energies are not just added. They multiply. They create a coherent collective field that is much more powerful than the sum of its parts. And this collective field can do things that no single person could do on their own. It can heal from a distance. It can influence events. It can change the results. Not because of magic, but because of the non-local interconnectedness of all things. Studies have been conducted where groups of meditators have focused on reducing crime in the city, and crime rates have actually decreased. There have been studies where groups have sent love and healing to someone from a distance, and that person's health has improved. There have been studies where collective meditation has affected random number generators, changing what should have been completely random outcomes. This is not a pseudoscience. This is not a wish. It is a demonstration that when consciousnesses connect, when energies align, when intention becomes coherent, non-local influence becomes measurable, repeatable, real. So imagine what would be possible if more people understood this. Imagine what would be possible if millions of people learned to become non-local, to raise their energy, to connect with the quantum field. Imagine the collective field of coherence that we could create. Imagine the world we could create together. This is not a fantasy. This is a possibility that exists right now in the quantum field. And every time you meditate, every time you raise your energy, every time you live from the heart, you vote for that opportunity. You help to collapse it from a wave of potential into a particle of reality. You're a part of something much bigger than yourself. You are part of a global awakening, a quantum shift in human consciousness, a collective transformation from the age of separation to the age of interconnectedness. And this is what I want you to understand in the very depths of your existence. This is not about perfection. It's not about doing everything right every time. It's not about never going back to old patterns or old emotions. Because you will. You will forget. You will slide back into a localized state. You will feel stress, fear, doubt. And this is normal. This is part of the process. Because every time you realize that you have become localized again, every time you catch yourself with old thoughts or old emotions, you have a choice. You have a moment of power. You can stay there, or you can become non-local again. And every time you make that choice, every time you go back to coherence, every time you raise your energy after falling, you become stronger. Neural pathways become deeper. The connection with the quantum field is getting stronger. The ability to live like a new person becomes more natural. This is not about reaching some final point. It's about practice. It's about choosing over and over again who you want to be. It's about understanding that every moment is a new opportunity to become non-local, to connect with the field, to choose a different reality. Some days will be easy. Some days you will wake up and immediately feel that sublime energy. You will meditate and it will seem effortless. You will walk the world as pure consciousness and everything will flow. And other days will be difficult. You will wake up heavy. Meditation will seem impossible. Old thoughts will scream louder than ever. The outside world will pull you back into survival, back into localization, back into the old version of yourself. And it is in these difficult days, it is in these moments when the most difficult things seem that the most important thing is to continue. Because that's when you really build a new personality. That's when you really guide your brain to the new reality. It is then that you prove to yourself, the field, the universe, that you are serious about this transformation. Because anybody can meditate when everything is fine. Anyone can feel grateful when life is wonderful. Anyone can be uplifting when things are working. But true skill comes when you can maintain that energy even when nothing has changed. When you can feel grateful even when there is nothing to be grateful for in the outside world. When you can live from your future, even when all the evidence of your feelings tells you that nothing is happening. This is faith, not blind faith, not religious faith. And quantum belief is the understanding that the field always responds, even when you can't see the evidence right away. Understanding that non-local connections work behind the scenes, organize events, equalize opportunities, prepare the way for your new future. You plant a seed in an invisible field, and you need to trust that it grows even when you can't see the sprouts. You have to keep watering it with your energy, your emotions, your elation, even when it seems that nothing is happening. And then one moment, often when you least expect it, the sprout breaks through the surface. The opportunity is manifested. The door opens. A person appears. The circumstance is changing. And you understand that all the time when it seemed that nothing was happening, everything was organized at a non-local level. The quantum field worked. The entanglement was getting stronger. The timeline was changing. Reality was being rebuilt. All of this happened in the invisible until it became strong enough to collapse into the visible. This is why so many people give up just before breakout. They plant seeds. They water it for weeks, months, sometimes years. And then, right before the sprout has to break through, they give up. They decide that it doesn't work. They return to the old energy, the old personality, the old reality. And the tragedy is not that it didn't work. The tragedy is that it worked, but they didn't last long enough to see the manifestation. So don't give up. When it seems darkest, when nothing seems to be working, when it seems like you've been meditating for months and nothing has changed, that's when you keep going. That's when you double your practice. That's when you go even higher. That's when you become even more non-local. Because I promise you, if you maintain that energy, if you stay coherent, if you keep living from your future, no matter what your present reality says, the quantum field has to respond. It's not a question of whether. It's just a matter of when. And often when it comes exactly when you least expect it, just when you stop trying to control how, and when you have completely surrendered to the result and just enjoy being a new energy. Because here's the ultimate paradox. The less attached you are to the result, the faster it comes. The less you need for this to happen, the more space you create for it to happen. The happier you can be right now. Even before something changes, the more you radiate the energy that allows change to happen. This is life from the end. It is to be the result before the result manifests. It's feeling full before what you think will make you complete comes. It is to be peace before circumstances become peaceful. It is to be love before love finds you. And when you can be that, when you can embody that energy regardless of external conditions, you become an unstoppable force of creation. You become a living magnet for everything that resonates with that energy. You become a portal through which a new reality can enter this world. So get started today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait until the conditions are right. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start right now, from where you are with what you have. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And for a moment, just for a moment, let it all go. Let go of your body. Let go of your surroundings. Let go of your time. Let go of your history, your identity, your limitations. Become a nobody. Become nobody. Become nowhere. Get up at any time. And in this space of pure consciousness, in this field of limitless potential, feel what you want to create. Don't visualize it. Feel it. Become the energy of this. Radiate the frequency of this. Resonate with the possibility of this. And when you feel it deeply enough, when the emotion becomes so real that your body begins to believe that it has already happened, know that you have just created a non-local connection with that possibility. You've just become entangled with this future. You just sent a signal into the quantum field that says, I'm ready. I'm open-minded. I am it. And then open your eyes and live from this place. Don't go back to your old personality. Don't sink back into old energy. Hold the elevation. Keep your gratitude. Keep the love. Keep in touch with that non-local field of infinite possibilities. And do it again tomorrow. And the day after tomorrow. And day after day, week after week, month after month. Do this for as long as necessary until the new personality becomes your only personality, until the new energy becomes your only energy, until the new reality becomes your only reality. Because you're not a victim of reality. You are the creator of reality. You are not separated from the quantum field. You are a non-local consciousness interacting with this field at every moment of every day. You are not limited by your past, your present, or your supposed future. You are a limitless being with access to infinite possibilities, infinite timelines, infinite versions of yourself. The only question is, which version will you choose? What energy will you radiate? What reality are you collapsing? The choice has always been yours. The power has always been yours. The connection has always been there, waiting for you to activate it. So activate it. Right now, at this very moment. Become non-local. Connect with the field. Choose a new opportunity. And live from this place so consistently, so coherently, so fully, that the universe has no choice but to respond. Because here's the ultimate truth I can share with you. You're not just connected to everything. You are everything. At the deepest quantum level, there is no separation between you and the field, between you and the universe, between you and the source of all creation. You are a consciousness that knows itself through form. You are a quantum field that organizes itself into a person. You are a universe experiencing itself through human life. And when you really understand that, when you really live from this place, everything changes. Fear dissolves, because what is there to fear when you are everything? Limitations disappear, because how can you be limited when you are limitless? Separation becomes an illusion, because how can you be separated from something when you are something? You come home to yourself, not to the personality you created, not to the story you were telling, and to the true self, the non-local, infinite, eternal consciousness, which has always been here, will always be here, always connected to everything that is. It's a journey. It's an adventure. This is the greatest transformation that a human being can make, from the local to the non-local, from the limited to the infinite, from the separated to the single. And it starts right now, with one breath, from one thought, from one emotion, from one choice to live differently. Are you ready? Then let's get started. Together, because we're all in this together. We are all non-locally connected. We are all parts of the same field, one consciousness, one endless dance of creation. And when you go up, we all get up. When you are healed, we are all healed. When you become more conscious, the whole consciousness becomes more conscious. This is your gift to the world. This is your goal. That's why you're here. So don't play small. Don't hide. Don't let fear, doubt, or limitation define you. Become who you really are, a non-local, limitless, creative force connected to all that exists. Live from this place, works from this place, love from this place, and watch your life and the world around you transform in ways you could not even imagine. Because when you live as a non-local consciousness, everything becomes possible. Absolutely everything.